So welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Port Angeles on a beautiful winter evening. I'm here with Catherine giving us some beautiful music, and I've got a few of us on Zoom, and those of you that join us later online, it's really a joy to have you with us. So we've got the theme is changing and changeless, those things that are constantly shifting and changing in our lives, and those things that are ever present, always the same. This love of spirit, the consistency of spirit, the constancy of spirit that runs through all things, that is timeless and eternal. So we're focusing on those things tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about the topic of a clean slate. So I don't have any announcements other than I'm glad you're all here with us tonight. We will read our vision and our mission together. I'm going to invite you to take a look at the back of your program and say it with me if you choose. Our vision. We are an open, safe, creative, affirming, and thriving spiritual community where we experience divine love and connection every day. Our mission. Through spiritual, artistic, and social gatherings, when we can, we experience and express divine love. Our intentions create ripples of compassion into the world. Our opening song is New Adventure, which is just perfect for our topic and what's going on in life these days. Setting off, I'm embarking on a new adventure, moving out from within to something bigger. I let go, I sink into a fantastic voyage. Every ending, a new journey, I begin again. Every ending, a new journey, I begin again. Setting off, I'm embarking on a new adventure, moving out from within to something bigger. I let go, I sink into a fantastic voyage. Every ending, a new journey, I begin again. Every ending, a new journey, I begin again. We, setting off, we're embarking on a new adventure, moving out from within to something bigger. We let go, we sink into a fantastic voyage. Every ending, a new journey, I begin again. Every ending, a new journey, we begin again. Last time with we. Setting off, we're embarking on a new adventure, moving out from within to something bigger. We let go, we sink into a fantastic voyage. Every ending, a new journey, we begin again. Every ending, a new journey, we begin again. Every ending, a new journey, we begin again. Perfect. Thank you. That was beautiful. So our practitioner for this evening is Shirley Grace. She will grace us with her presence. She'll give us 2 opening readings, not 1, but 2 opening readings. A brief time of silence that I will bring out with our crystal bowl. And then she will give us a lovely opening prayer. And then she will lead us in our affirmation. Shirley.
Okay, the first reading, I may have done this before, but I love it. It's from Sharon Salzberg, a fairly well-known American Buddhist teacher. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. You can search through the entire universe for someone who is more deserving of your love and affection than you are yourself. And that person is not to be found anywhere. And this author chooses to remain anonymous, but it's from Yes Magazine. You are enough, not because of the things you do, but because of who you are fundamentally, intrinsically, always, and without exception. Take a breath or 2 to allow yourself to know this. We are each one person breathing this one breath with common divinity. And with this breath, I breathe into the knowing that there is only spirit. That one mind, that creative energy that calls all into being so that it can know itself more fully. And I know with this one breath, we are each that. We are spirit in form. We are that divinity walking upon this earth, which is sacred ground. And knowing that that is the truth of who we are, there is nothing that can shake us, no matter what winds or vicissitudes of life. There is that truth of our being that is steadfast, that we can turn to time after time after time. That which is that one which shows up in all forms. I give thanks for knowing this truth for each of us, that we share that one breath, that inspiration, and we are blessed. And it is with a full heart I allow this knowing to go forth. It is now and evermore shall be, and together we say,
And so it is. Thank you.
Hi, Scott.
If you feel comfortable joining us in the affirmation, I let
Go of how I'm supposed to be, and allow myself to be as I am. Remembering I am the I am, perfect in this moment. Thank you, Shirley. That's beautiful. Nice to be with you all. So this idea of a clean slate, since we've seen each other last, we've had a lot of clean slate going on in the world, or definitely in our country, and I know that all of us are very pleased about that. My assumption is that we are pleased about that. It felt like there was a big shift of energy, and what happened for me was the week of the inauguration, I fell into a hole emotionally, which I thought was really interesting. I couldn't even feel joy on Inauguration Day. And that happens to me occasionally. And I'm doing a book study and on a book called Braiding Sweetgrass. We're doing that as the Interfaith Community Read now. And the woman who has helped kind of organizing all of that forwarded a podcast to us by Brene Brown, who does a bunch of interviews with all kinds of amazing people. And Brene Brown was interviewing a woman named Priya Parker. And she started off, it sounded like the interview was happening in November. And Brene Brown said to Priya Parker wrote a beautiful book called The Art of Gathering, which I now have to go buy after listening to Priya Parker. But Brene Brown said, so Priya, I asked this of all my guests now, how are you doing in what we call COVID time? And Priya Parker said, well, I have about 3 or 4 good weeks, and then I fall into a hole. And then I climb back out, and then I go along, and things are great. And then I fall into a hole again, and then I come back out again. And Brene Brown said, every single person I've been talking to has the same experience. So I just, after hearing that, was able to just take a sigh of relief, a breath of, oh, I'm not crazy. It's just part of my particular cycles that I go through. I go into a hole every now and again, and then I climb back out, or I put water in the hole and I swim to the surface, or whatever, metaphor you want to use. And then we start again. Just like our song said, every ending is a new beginning. And I purposely tonight was doing this motion because it's the infinity symbol. Because life continues. We go on. Change happens. And within that is this changeless knowingness. So knowing that I'm not crazy, I mean, I knew that, but getting a reaffirmation that, because Brene Brown said, oh, I'm really glad to hear that, because I just figured you were floating on a cloud of the art of gathering goodness and that you were always in a great space. And Priya Parker just laughed and said, oh no, we're human. We have stuff. And part of the power in intentionally gathering together over Zoom or in person or wherever we can do it is when we do it with intention, then the connections are deeper. The power of the gathering is bigger and stronger than even just the few people that are on the Zoom call. When we are cleaning our slate, or the slate is being cleaned for us, because sometimes it's an involuntary cleaning of the slate, and sometimes it's a voluntary cleaning of the slate. Part of the call is to go into the feeling of the divine in our beingness. Not thinking about the divine, not making that experience of the divine an intellectual experience, but going into our bodies and into our feeling nature so that we can feel the presence of the divine in us and as us. And there are some ways to do that. One is practicing the presence. I like the term the presence for the divine or spirit or God because it reminds me that it's present. That it's ever present. The presence is always here. To practice the presence, all we need to do is quiet our mind and open in awareness. And we can do that through meditation, spiritual mind treatment, which is our form of affirmative prayer. We can walk in the woods. We can dance. There are lots of things that will both quiet our mind and open our awareness. That is one way that we can practice the presence. In Living the Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes says, when in thought, in contemplation, in imagination, in inward feeling, we consciously return to the source of our being. The divine pattern, which already exists, springs forth into newness of manifestation. The divine pattern already exists, so we don't have to create it or make it or drum it up. It's already there. Our job is to sink into it, sinking into the fantastic voyage of the divine in and as us. So we start by practicing this presence, by practicing being aware and conscious of this presence in and as our life. And then we can move into self-awareness, discovering what we do when we're stressed out, when we're upset, when we're freaked out, when we're in the hole. What are some of our patterns? Do we want to keep them? We can start to pull back a little bit with a different view of our own life when we step into the space of self-awareness. Self-awareness is the practice that illuminates our alignment with all of the spiritual principles. So self-awareness helps to align us with spiritual principles that are always constant, like gravity. Gravity works whether we like it or not. Gravity works whether we know it or not. As we become aware of gravity, we can then use gravity for our benefit. Like my husband when he goes paragliding. He uses wind and gravity for his benefit. But if he doesn't pay attention to gravity or doesn't believe that it exists, that could be bad if he's paragliding. So it is this practice that illuminates our alignment with principle. It is the practice of being conscious of our motivations, our internal dialogue, and hidden beliefs. When I go into my hole, my internal dialogue is a big, fat liar. But for some weird reason, or some reason, I won't even claim it as a weird reason. For some reason, when I'm in the hole, I believe it. I'm unworthy. I don't know what I'm doing. It's never going to be different. I need to run and hide to be safe, to be protected. I've talked about this at length. I love this idea that when we begin to step back a little and look at, wow, look at what I'm doing. Even now in the midst of a place where I'm going into a hole, there's now like, it used to be like half and half, or maybe my depressed part or my whole part, not W-H-O-L-E, but the H-O-L-E, the part that wants to go into the depths of my delusion, used to take over my brain. And I know that everybody's had that experience at one time or another, where something just like takes you over and you can't explain it. And somebody says, what's going on? And you're like, I don't know. I can't tell you. Let me go freak out for a while. I'll come back. I'll report later. That's if we have enough sanity to do that, right? Now, because I have continued to cultivate my own self-awareness and awareness of what it is that I do when I'm in this place where I'm listening to the delusions, now it's like 1/3 of my brain goes into the delusion, and 2/3 of my brain, my consciousness, the power of who I know to be true, the presence within me, kind of sits over off to the side and goes, really? Do you really think that? Are you sure? What, are you sure you want to keep thinking that? It's like there's this little conversation now that's going on, and the crazy part, I'm calling it crazy, but not as in a derogatory term, just to differentiate, the delusional part doesn't get to be in charge or make me run away anymore. It enables me to be a little bit more articulate when someone I love asks me what's going on. It makes me pause and take a step back and say, what is going on? Let me think about that. Let that part that is in the presence at all times ask questions in a loving, calm, respectful way. Even while the other part of me is going, and running around in circles like a chicken with my head cut off. So It is the practice of being conscious of our motivations, of our internal dialogue and our hidden beliefs. And the more light we shine on those, the more awareness we bring to those, the less they run us. They still are there. They get to exist. They get to have a voice, but they don't get to be the boss. And again, I've said this before, but it's important. So we practice the presence. We dive deep into that awareness that we are the presence. We cultivate self-awareness through practice and time and loving people that remind us of who we are, who we really are. And then we can step into some silence, which creates space. In the silence, we can experience the rise and fall of thoughts and feelings without attachment or judgment. On the day of the inauguration, when I was in my hole, when I was listening to the delusional thoughts, it wasn't anything about what was going on that day. It had absolutely nothing to do with any of that. But I purposefully cultivated some silence and allowed myself to just feel what I was feeling, let the thoughts have their little diatribe without attachment or judgment. And that helped me move through it more quickly than I have in the past. Creating space to allow what is or what seems to be, and without any judgment or criticism, just go, wow, that's going on in me right now. And I know that these thoughts are not true, and yet they need to say this. They need to say this stuff for some reason one more time, and maybe another in the future. And each time gets a little shorter and a little shorter and a little shorter. Clean slate moments offer us an opportunity to literally start over. So whether we move or we change our relationships or we quit our job, in my mind, when I'm in the delusional state, I want to have that clean slate where I just want to start over. I want to trash everything and just start over again, as if that's going to make a difference. There's that old saying about wherever you go, there you are. How many times have we moved or changed relationships or changed jobs without the self-awareness learning and just recreated the same old experiences, different faces, different locations, same experience. So cleaning the slate alone doesn't help us. Cleaning the slate with an awareness that we are choosing a new possibility, not bound by the past, not bound by how it's always been up until now, gives us space for self-reflection and choice. To ask ourselves the question, where did this idea originate? Helpful ideas or unhelpful ideas? Where did this idea originate? Am I living in integrity with my values? Who would I be without this belief? Without this fear? Without this behavior? As detrimental beliefs are removed from our consciousness, there is clarity and new space for possibilities to emerge. We're seeing that in our country. As detrimental beliefs are removed from consciousness, there is clarity and space for new possibilities to emerge. And we are seeing new possibilities popping up everywhere. And that's a demonstration of the consciousness of people that are holding something higher in line with spiritual principles and that have been doing so for a long time. Here's the really interesting part. The birth of anything new is messy. Think of birth. Birth is messy, painful, uncomfortable, and definitely messy. I haven't actually had a child, but I've witnessed the birth of a child. It's not clean. It's not pretty. It's beautiful, but it's not pretty. It is definitely messy. Adi Shanti, who is a very amazing spiritual teacher, said, enlightenment is a destructive process. It has nothing to do with becoming better or being happier. I'm going to say that part again. Enlightenment is a destructive process. It has nothing to do with becoming better or being happier. Enlightenment is the crumbling away of untruth. That's what we've been seeing in the last many months. The crumbling away of untruth. It's a seeing through the facade of pretense. It is the complete eradication of everything we imagined to be true. Enlightenment is not for the faint of heart. Self-awareness is not for the faint of heart. It is a powerful path to allow us to go to choice and to step into who we truly are, this beautiful presence of love. So can we begin to just clean the slate, just enough so maybe we can see more? Years ago, Clancy, my mom, used to do lots of inner child workshops, and I participated in many of them as a participant a couple of times and then on the team. And there was a really cool process we used to do where she would call a couple of people up to the front of the room, and she would just say, imagine, that you're two people that meet each other and you think you're pretty awesome. And she had each person hold up a piece of plexiglass, clear plexiglass. But on that clear plexiglass, we had scribbled all the hidden beliefs of each one of these people in dry erase marker. So the plexiglass was now covered with all different colors of dry erase marker. And the other person's plexiglass was also covered with dry erase marker. And she said, this is how we often look at the world. We look through these teeny little spaces that aren't covered by our beliefs that we're not really sure we have, but that's about all we can see. And then maybe if we're lucky, there's like a little space where we can see the other person and we go, oh, I see you. I can see you. Let's get married. Let's have children. And then we look at the children with that messy plexiglass. And then it goes on and on and on. And generational trauma, generational beliefs, generational stories get passed down through the messy plexiglass that we're looking through when we're not awake and aware. As we become self-aware more and more, wow, look at how I reacted to that. Wow, isn't that interesting how I do that when I get pushed or stressed? Wow, how is it that I get so defensive? I wonder where that came from. As we begin to just curiously ask ourselves these questions, we are slowly erasing the dry erase markers off of our piece of plexiglass. We can see more clearly. Not to reach perfection, not because there's anything wrong with who we are, but so we can see more of each other, see more of ourselves, enjoy more life and the fullness of it, have an experience of trust and faith. As that beautiful quote that Shirley read at the beginning, if you're not loving you for the amazing you that you are, you're looking in the wrong place. You're looking for the wrong thing. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, finish each day and be done with it. You have done what you could. Some blunders and absurdities no doubt crept in. Forget them as soon as you can. Tomorrow is a new day. So I'm going to give you a little call to action before we close. To live from the space of clarity and possibility. We're letting the dog back in. I'm going to start over.
She let herself in.
Well, hello.
Weird. I know she can do that.
She's powerful.
Wow.
To live from the space of clarity and possibility that encompasses mind, body, and heart, we are called to practice the presence regularly. We release thoughts of past or future and ground ourselves in the present, experiencing whatever understanding or gift this moment has for us. There is a myriad of ways to practice the presence. Core methods such as affirmative prayer, meditation, and mindfulness serve to silence the mind. Give yourself permission to indulge in what feeds your soul. Sacred service, nature, time with friends, even if that's on Zoom, music, creative endeavors, laughter, etc. And finally, honor your body and get plenty of sleep, as much as you can. So practice the presence. Find the ways that speak to your soul. The book, Braiding Sweetgrass, that we're studying through the interfaith community is all about our relationship with Earth and discovering the reciprocal relationship with Earth, that it's not a taking, it's a caregiving, it's a reciprocal. The Earth needs us, we need Earth. That's one way to practice the presence, is to go outside, breathe the air, look at the trees, feel Earth. Whatever floats your boat, whatever sings your soul, and whatever reminds you of the presence that you are. Take a deep breath. Thank you. This is our time for conscious giving. If you choose, I invite you to say the conscious giving affirmation with us. I am open to give. I am open to receive. I am grateful to be in the flow of life, through and as me. And our closing song is What Might Happen, with the correct lyrics in the program this time. Oh, better. Now everybody else can sing it. What might happen if I give a bit more love, share more compassion, express more joy? What might happen if I seek to see the good? I don't know, and I'm curious. What might happen when I really feel my pain? Let go of the story, assign no blame. What might happen when I love right where I am? I don't know, and I'm curious. What might happen when I let go of the past, stop stressing about the future, and I'm here at last? What might happen when I live in this moment? I don't know, and I'm curious. What might happen when I walk my path in trust, open to life and feel it all? What might happen when I remember who I am, a part of all that is? I'm curious, so curious. I'm curious. Yay! Thank you for joining us tonight. It's been my pleasure to be with you. So great to see you all. I'm going to turn off the camera and then we will talk a minute or two. Mwah. I'll see you next time.